She doesn't text you, she doesn't call, but you still live in her mind more than you think. You believe silence means indifference. You tell yourself if she cared, she'd reach out. That's the story your ego needs to survive. But here's the truth most people never understand about female psychology. Silence is rarely empty. It's usually full. When a woman goes quiet, it doesn't automatically mean she's moved on. Women process emotionally before they act behaviorally. Men tend to solve feelings by doing something. Women tend to solve feelings by feeling them completely. And that difference is where confusion begins. She might not be speaking to you, but your memory is speaking to her. Women don't detach from emotional experiences the way men do. They attach to how they felt in your presence. The safety, the tension, the chemistry, the disappointment, the potential. And potential is the most dangerous thing of all, because unfinished emotional stories echo louder than completed ones. You're thinking about whether she misses you. She's thinking about whether you ever truly understood her. Here's something most men never realize. Women replay moments in their minds like emotional film editors. She remembers the exact tone in your voice the night you almost opened up. She remembers the look in your eyes when you were jealous but pretended not to care. She remembers when she felt chosen and when she felt uncertain. Even if she ended things, even if she pulled away, even if she's the one who said, "We're done." Silence does not mean absence of thought. It often means emotional overload. When a woman still thinks about you but chooses silence, it's because she's trying to regain emotional control. Women value emotional stability deeply. If you made her feel deeply, good or bad, your presence disrupted her equilibrium, and the mind does not easily forget what once felt intense. Intensity imprints. This is why random songs bring you back into her awareness, why certain places trigger memories, why she might check your profile and then close the app quickly. Not because she wants you back automatically, but because emotional investment doesn't evaporate on command. Here's the part no one tells you. Women don't just think about who you were. They think about who you could have been. Unrealized potential is heavier than reality. If there were moments where you showed strength, leadership, vulnerability, ambition, if she glimpsed the version of you that felt powerful and grounded, her mind will revisit that version, especially if the ending felt unresolved. Women are drawn to emotional narrative, and if your story with her feels unfinished, her mind will keep trying to rewrite the ending in private. But this is important. Thinking about you doesn't automatically mean she wants to return. Memory and decision are two different things. She can miss the feeling and still choose distance. The real reason she still thinks about you is not because she's weak, not because she's bored, not because she has no options. It's because emotional experiences wire differently in the female brain. Connection is layered, contextual, deeply stored. And if you ever made her feel something that touched her identity, if she felt seen, challenged, inspired, or even hurt in a way that changed her, then you are part of her psychological imprint. Silence is often protection, not erasure. And the more you understand that, the less desperate you become for proof, because the loudest emotions are often processed in complete quiet. Here's where most men completely misread the situation. You assume if she's not chasing you, she's forgotten you. But women are not wired to chase when they feel emotionally uncertain. They withdraw to evaluate. They go inward to analyze what the connection meant to them. And when a woman evaluates, she goes deep. She asks herself questions you never hear out loud. Did he really see me? Was I safe with him? Was he strong enough to lead us somewhere real? Or was I trying to build a future with potential instead of reality? While you're focused on the last conversation, she's replaying the entire pattern. Women don't obsess over one argument. They examine consistency, emotional stability, the way you handled pressure, the way you handled her emotions, the way you handled your own. If you stayed calm when things got intense, that memory lingers. If you panicked, withdrew, or became reactive, that lingers too. Because what women remember most isn't what you said, it's how you made them feel about themselves. Did she feel secure? Did she feel valued? Did she feel chosen without having to compete for your attention? When those questions don't get clean answers, silence becomes her processing space. Understand this clearly. Women think in emotional chapters, and when a chapter ends abruptly, the mind searches for closure. Not always from you, but internally. She may not reach out because reaching out would reopen the emotional loop. And if she worked hard to calm her feelings, she won't risk destabilizing herself again just to satisfy curiosity. But thinking, that costs her nothing. so she revisits memories privately. She remembers the first time she felt that spark, the tension in early conversations, the way you looked at her when you were confident. Women are highly responsive to emotional presence. When you were grounded and sure of yourself, that version of you made her feel something powerful. If that version disappeared later, if inconsistency replaced certainty, that contrast becomes unforgettable. Women are deeply sensitive to shifts in masculine energy. When a man moves from decisive to unsure, from steady to reactive, from purpose-driven to distracted, she feels it immediately. And she thinks about it long after. Not because she wants drama, but because stability matters. Here's something most people avoid admitting. Women often think about the man who almost rose to his full potential more than the man who was average the entire time. Why? Because growth is magnetic. If she saw glimpses of ambition, discipline, leadership, if she sensed you were becoming something bigger, her mind will revisit you when she thinks about strength, even if she's no longer in your life. But if you became needy, overly available, or emotionally dependent on her validation, that memory also stays. And it creates internal conflict. Attraction thrives on respect. Attachment thrives on safety. Long-term desire requires both. If at any point she felt those elements slipping, her silence isn't random, it's reflective. She's asking herself whether you were a lesson or a loss. And here's the psychological twist. Sometimes she stays silent not because she stopped caring, but because she's afraid that if she hears your voice again, she'll care too much. Women guard their emotional energy carefully after they've invested deeply. If she felt vulnerable with you, if she opened parts of herself she doesn't open easily, your absence doesn't erase that exposure. It amplifies it, so she thinks about you in controlled doses. Late at night, during quiet drives, when something reminds her of the way you once made her feel understood. Silence in female psychology is often strength trying to win against emotion, and that battle can last far longer than you imagine. Now, let's talk about what really keeps her thinking about you, what women rarely admit even to themselves. It's not just memories, not just emotional imprint. It's just the what-if factor. Humans hate unresolved possibilities, and women, more than men, carry what-ifs as quietly heavy burdens. She asks herself, what if I had given him more time? What if I had trusted him differently? What if I had responded differently to his energy? Even if she's convinced herself she moved on, her mind replays scenarios endlessly. Women are naturally wired for emotional simulation. They run social and romantic situations in their heads like a private theater, exploring outcomes, testing choices, and imagining how things might have unfolded. And the most powerful memories are the ones that never reached completion. Think about it. When you left things unfinished, arguments unresolved, intentions unspoken, or moments of tension left hanging, you created a mental echo. That echo doesn't disappear, it lingers. She isn't thinking about the person you were at your worst, or even at your best. She's thinking about the person you could have been. And here's a truth men rarely see. She's comparing every man she meets now to that potential version of you. Not the flawed reality, but the emotionally resonant possibilities she experienced with you. It's why she notices small gestures or tone in new interactions, why she measures men against the memory of you. But don't misread this as longing for a relationship. Emotional imprint is not the same as desire for reunion. She could still choose a path without you, yet your presence will influence her emotional compass for months, sometimes years. You've set a benchmark for intensity and connection that is hard to replicate. Now, if you want to truly understand why she still thinks about you, you must grasp how she values closure. Women need it deeply, but closure isn't always external. Often it's internal. She may be revisiting old interactions, assessing her own feelings, and trying to reconcile what she loved with what she lost. That internal reckoning keeps her occupied quietly, while you may be assuming absence equals forgetting. And here's the kicker. The more she wrestles with your memory in private, the more powerful it becomes. Thoughts become feelings, feelings become patterns, patterns influence decisions. So even her silence is active, not passive. She is emotionally engaged in ways you can't see. Women are also highly attuned to emotional contrast. If you were inconsistent, sometimes hot, sometimes distant, sometimes confident, sometimes insecure, that contrast lodges deeply in her mind. Her brain interprets it as a puzzle worth solving. The unpredictability of your behavior, combined with glimpses of the man she admired, creates a cognitive tension she can't shake. In essence, she's trapped between admiration, curiosity, and caution. The emotional imprint you left is like a closed chapter she keeps reopening internally. She's asking questions you may never hear, examining every detail, and weighing what she felt against what she still feels. And if you ever want her to stop obsessing silently, it's not by pleading or messaging, it's by becoming the man whose presence doesn't leave unfinished echoes. Strong, consistent, emotionally grounded. That's the real key she's subconsciously measuring against, even if she's never said a word. By now, you might be seeing why her silence isn't rejection, it's reflection. Her mind is still running the film you starred in, scene by scene, long after the final fade to black. Now let's go deeper into the hidden layer that most men, and even women themselves, rarely admit. She's still thinking about you because you triggered a shift in her self-perception. You see, women are profoundly aware of themselves in the context of relationships. When you challenged her, inspired her, or even unsettled her, you forced her to see parts of herself she hadn't examined before. Maybe you made her feel alive, desired, or respected, or maybe you forced her to confront insecurities she'd been hiding. Either way, those experiences stick. They leave traces that aren't just emotional, they're psychological. Think about it. When someone stirs something inside you that is new or intense, your mind keeps returning to it. Your brain wants to understand why it felt so powerful, why it mattered, why it didn't last. That's why she may appear calm on the outside, but still think about you in the quiet moments she doesn't share. And here's a psychological truth few men grasp. The emotional pull of absence is stronger than the presence of comfort. Women remember intensity far more than familiarity. If your connection was emotionally charged, even if it ended badly, that intensity becomes unforgettable. She may smile at new people, date new men, act fine, but internally, she is still measuring the emotional depth she once experienced with you. Another key factor is memory reinforcement. Every time she sees a song, a place, a scent, or even a joke that reminds her of you, her brain rewires slightly to replay the connection. That's why women often revisit memories in silence. They are not dwelling on nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. They are processing the impact you had on her identity. But here's the harsh truth. She can think about you endlessly and still make the decision to move on. Her thoughts aren't a roadmap back to you. They are a reflection of your significance. Women's minds don't work in black and white. They operate in emotional gradients, analyzing the past, testing potential, and rehearsing scenarios without needing to act. And this is the final point you must understand. If she is still thinking about you, it's not about weakness, longing, or obsession. It's about unfinished emotional architecture. You created emotional patterns she can't ignore, memories she can't delete, and possibilities she can't stop imagining. That's the paradox of female psychology. Silence is often more revealing than words, and absence can be more binding than presence. The moment you understand this, you stop misreading signals, you stop chasing validation, you start seeing the truth. She is thinking about you because she once invested deeply in the person you were and glimpsed the person you could be. That imprint doesn't fade easily. It lingers. Now I want you to reflect on this. Are you the kind of man or woman whose presence leaves an unforgettable mark, or do you fade quickly from hearts and minds? Answer that in the comments below. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this truth.